Good morning, students. In the previous class, we have studied about the sliding filament theory of the muscle or muscular movement, all the contraction and relaxations phases which took place in the actin or myosin filaments, resulting in the muscular contraction. Today, we will discuss about this, some of the properties and disorders of the skeletal system disorders resulting due to the muscular contraction, due to the cartilage problem, due to the bones stiffness. So all these things we'll study in this, and one more topic we'll cover today is the difference between red and white muscle fibers. So let's start with first the properties of muscles and properties of muscles. In your syllabus it is, in ISC syllabus it is summation, tetanus and rigor mortis. These three properties are mentioned as a definition of these three properties you have to study. So let's start with the first property, and the first property is summation. Summation is if you know that the muscular contraction results due to the stimulus provided to it, and after the stimulus there is a relaxation phase. After the stimulus is given, the muscular contraction takes place, and then there is a relaxation stage and then second stimulus. So if a condition happens when the first stimulus is applied, the second stimulus is given just after that, the relaxation time is very less. If between the two stimulus the relaxation time is very less, then it results in the contraction. The muscle responds to the second stimulus, and the second contraction is much stronger than the first one, and this is termed as the summation. So according to the definition, if after the first stimulus is applied, the second stimulus is applied after the refractory period is over, but before the muscle fiber has started relaxing, the muscle respond to the second stimulus, and the second contraction is stronger than the first, then it is termed as summation. The refractory period is over, but the relaxation time is still continuing, it is not complete, the time is very short, then and the second muscle stimulus is given, then the muscle contraction is much stronger as compared to the normal contraction phase, and this is summation. Next is tetanus. If a number of stimulus is given in rapid succession, if that rapid succession the muscle fiber remains in a sustained contraction and relaxes only if stimulus is removed. So this condition, when multiple stimulus or continuous stimulus is provided without a relaxing time, then the contraction is a sustained contraction and it would relax only if the stimulus is removed. So this condition of muscle in a continued state of contraction is termed as tetanus. Third term is rigor mortis. Rigor mortis, it is different from these two because it is in case of the living forms, but here it is the stiffness of joint and muscle after death. It is after death, and this stiffness, this muscular contraction or the stiffness of the joints, this is due to the depletion of ATP because the body is dead, the energy is not provided by the cells or the mitochondria. So the lack of ATP or depletion of ATP in the tissues, this continues. It begins 2 to 4 hours after death, and it continues up to 4 days, after which the body starts decaying. So this three properties. First is a summation where the relaxing time is very short. Two stimulus is given one after the other and the relaxing time is less, then the contraction is stronger. Second case, tetanus, where the contraction in the multiple stimulus is given, relaxation time is not there, and the contraction is a sustained contraction. Third case is in case of dead bodies, where muscular contraction or the stiffness in joints takes place when ATP is depleted or the ATP is not present for the relaxation of the muscle fibers or the relaxation of the movement of the joints, and this takes place 2 to 3 hours after the death, and it continues up to 4 days because after that the body starts decaying. Next is the difference between red and white muscle fibers. Next is difference between red muscle fibers and white muscle fibers. And with the difference, first is the appearance, or what they are called, this or how they are known as. Appearance is the red muscle fibers are thinner, darker and slower. They are the slower muscles. In appearance they are thinner and darker, while white muscle fibers are thicker, lighter and fast. Diameter is smaller. Here the diameter is bigger. In white muscle fibers, the diameter is bigger diameter. They are thicker, so the diameter is bigger. Color, they appear dark red, and the dark red appearance is due to the presence of a pigment, that is the myoglobin pigment. Here myoglobin is absent, so myoglobin absent. So the appearance is white color. White appearance. Availability of oxygen. Myoglobin is a pigment which is having a strong affinity for oxygen. It readily combines with the oxygen, and it forms oxygen hemoglobin. So the availability of oxygen in these muscles is more, while in this case myoglobin absent, so less oxygen content. Next is mitochondria. It respires through aerobic respiration. Oxygen is more, so large number of mitochondria is present in the red muscle fibers, while here it is present in less number. Blood capillaries, more blood supply is there, oxygen content is more. The muscle fibers are having the pigment also, myoglobin pigment, which gives dark red color to it, and the blood capillaries is more. Here the blood capillaries are less in number. Sarcoplasmic reticulum, the endoplasmic reticulum is less here, while in this case it is more. Type of contraction is slow contraction with a long period of time. It is where it takes very long period for the contraction movement. Here the contraction is fast in a short duration. Next is function. These muscles, the red muscle fibers, they are capable of slow contraction over a long period of time. So the movement or their contraction phase is more, their function is slow contraction, or the muscles wherever slow contraction is required, they act at that place. These are capable of fast contraction but for a shorter period. Fast contraction but for a shorter period. For example, these muscles, red muscle fibers, are present in the extensor muscles of the back, which provides posture to the body. You can sit for long hours without feeling tired, without fatigue, just because the blood supply is more, the oxygen availability is to these muscles are more, so it supports the body throughout the day. That posture in the extensor muscle of the back or the flight muscles of the slow moving birds or slow wing movement is also in case of the red muscle fibers. While in this, muscles of the eyeball, it appears white. The white appearance of the muscle of the eyeball is also due to the white muscles, and these muscles, they are having less blood capillary supply, myoglobin is absent, the movement is faster but for short duration only. Flight muscles of sparrow, the flight muscles of sparrow, it is for faster movement but for a short duration. So this the basic difference in the red muscle fibers and white muscle fibers is the presence of myoglobin and the absence of myoglobin here, the oxygen content, thickness or thinness of the muscles, then mitochondria. Mitochondria is more in the red muscle fibers, while in this case it is very less. And the contraction phase in red muscle fibers, the contraction is very slow but for a longer period. Here the contraction phase is faster, the movement is faster but for a shorter period of time. Next is the disorders of the joints, or disorders due to the old age, due to deformation of the bones. So whatever is the reason, the disorders we'll study next. Next is disorders of the muscular or the skeletal system. It includes inflammation in the membrane, inflammation in the joints, deposition of some of the abnormal substances like uric acid or crystal called pannus, which is these deposition result in the degeneration of the cartilage. As if you remember that in the knee joint, the cartilage, a thin layer of cartilage is present, which help in the smooth movement of the joint or the smooth knee movement. So the degeneration of that cartilage results in stiffness in the joint, results in the ossified bone, ossified cartilage, or painful joint areas. So the disorders are basically due to the inflammation. Let's start with these inflammation. First is the arthritis. Arthritis is of three types. One is the rheumatoid arthritis, second is osteoarthritis, and third is gouty arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is due to the inflammation of synovial membrane. Synovial membrane, synovial fluid is the fluid which help in the lubrication. It is present between the joints, enclosed in a synovial membrane, and that it is due to the rheumatoid factor, immunoglobulin factor, and that this results in secretion of abnormal granules, which is Pannus granules, P-A-N-N-U-S, Pannus granules, and deposition of these granules in the cartilage area results in degeneration of the cartilage, result in ossification of the cartilage, and it makes the joint stiff, it makes the joint ossified, it makes the joint, the movement is painful. Next is osteoarthritis. This is again the stiffness of joint due to, but the factor responsible for this type of stiffness during this type of problem or the disorder is aging, where the cartilage it gets decreased, or it results in the ossification of the cartilage, or the stiffness of the dryness of the synovial fluid. Various factors could be there, but the reason for this is aging factor. Third is the gouty arthritis. Arthritis is all about the painful joints, painful movement of joints or the muscle or the skeletal system. First was due to the deposition of Pannus granules, rheumatoid arthritis, deposition of uric acid crystals. Deposition of uric acid crystals in the joint result in gouty arthritis, and the patient is advised to take low protein diet. because uric acid is a nitrogenous waste which must be removed from the body, and if there is error in the filtration process, if there is error in the excretory system, due to which or the protein intake is much more, then it results in deposition of uric acid, and that causes painful joints, which is gouty arthritis. The symptoms are partially or completely ossified bones, loose, flexible, the cartilage or the joint lose flexibility, then movement of joints become extremely painful. Next is osteoporosis. As the name suggests that osteo means bones, porous means holes or the gaps. In osteoporosis, the density of bone or the bone cells, osteocytes, the density of bones become very less, and this bone become thinner and porous. This the reason for osteoporosis is low calcium intake or the abnormal hormonal balance, abnormality in the hormonal balance, or aging, any of the problems related to the genetic disorder or the hormonal disorder may cause thinner or porous bones. The patient is advised to have more calcium intake in their diet, regular exercise of the regular exercise by the person, then vitamin D intake should be there. Then next is myasthenia gravis. Myasthenia gravis is an autoimmune disorder, and it affects the intermuscular junction, neuromuscular junction. Neuromuscular junction. Neuro means the nervous system, muscular muscles, the place where the nervous system joins the muscle. That junction, if there is a disorder in that neuromuscular junction, it leads to fatigue, it leads to weakening and paralysis of the skeletal muscles. Muscular dystrophy. Muscular dystrophy is a progressive degeneration of skeletal muscles, and it is mostly due to the genetic disorder, degeneration of the skeletal muscles. Last one is tetany. It is rapid spasm or wild contraction of muscles due to low calcium in the body fluids. So I am repeating this one. Arthritis, it is of three types: rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis and gouty arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is due to the inflammation of immunoglobulin or rheumatoid factor, inflammation in the synovial membrane resulting in deposition of abnormal granules, that is spinous granules, which cause ossified cartilage, which cause stiffness in the joint or painful joint. Then osteoarthritis, which is the symptoms of arthritis is more or less same, but the reason for this is aging. Reason behind this is aging. Gouty arthritis, deposition of uric acid crystal. If the nitrogenous waste gets deposited in the body, in the joints or in the cavity of the joints, or the intake of protein is much more by the person, so this results in accumulation of nitrogenous waste also, and resulting in painful joint. Osteoporosis, the bone become thinner and porous, and it is due to genetic disorder, due to abnormal hormonal balance, due to due to less rest or fatigue condition. So all this is results in thinner and porous bones. Myasthenia gravis, autoimmune disorder due to which the neuromuscular junction is affected, and it leads to fatigue as a weakening and paralysis of skeletal muscles. Muscular dystrophy is the progressive degeneration of the skeletal muscles. The skeletal muscles, they degenerate day by day, and that progressive degeneration of skeletal muscles is a genetic disorder. Tenderness, it is the rapid spasm, wild contraction in the muscles, wild contraction in the muscles. It is the reason for this is low calcium content of the body fluid. So this is all about the disorders. In today's class we have studied about the difference between red and white muscle fibers, then from the skeletal muscle, properties of skeletal muscles, and lastly the disorders of the skeletal as well the muscular fibers. So this is all about the skeletal system in your syllabus. Thank you students for joining the class.